Hello there, and thank you for tuning in to the TED in Your Head podcast. I'm your host, Ted Moreno, certified hypnotherapist and high performance coach. And in this podcast, we seek to liberate ourselves from lack, limitation, and lethargy and intentionally pursue a powerful path of personal transformation. Today, we're going to talk about navigating life's transitions. And if that is something that you need help with or you're struggling with, I'll tell you how to get in touch with me at the end of our podcast today. But for now, let's get into today's podcast, which is titled When Calm Waters Get Rough Navigating Life Transitions. Now, you may have noticed, or at least I hope you've noticed, that I've taken a couple of weeks off from my podcast. And what happened was my two kids have moved out of the house and they are now living at their respective colleges. And during that process, which went fairly smoothly for the most part, I told myself that, there's just too much to do a podcast. But the truth is, now that I look back, I was dealing with the transition from having two children at home to having none. I really didn't realize what a major transition that was. For the past 20 years, my wife and I have been raising kids, and now I kind of feel like that's done. Their bedrooms are empty, the house is a lot more quiet and tidy. We'll continue to support our kids, of course, in many different ways, but something's changed. And it's a good change, right? Still, it's a big transition for my wife and I. The last time I did a podcast on life transitions was in January 2024. At that time, I had just turned 64 years old. My oldest child was driving and commuting to the local community college. The other one was still in high school. So, one thing you can always count on is that things will change. I can't help but feel that life transitions, the ones that we experience as younger people, are a bit easier. They're exciting. We welcome them. Going from grade school to high school, learning how to ride a bike, learning how to drive, having the first experience with love, getting a job, graduating from high school. We're a lot more resilient, more hopeful, more positive. And I can't help but feel that the older we get, the harder it is to deal with the changes that come with growing older. The known, the familiar, the comfortable. Our minds like these things. That's how we're wired. What is new and unknown is scary and uncomfortable for our minds. Everything about us does not want to change. Yet, we seem to always continue to seek change, although not as exciting and perhaps not as easy as when we were younger. We still seek to grow. We seek to improve our life circumstances, make more money, become happier, have better habits, and better relationships. We want and we need a certain level of change. But as you know, change will happen to us whether we want it to or not. The four D's, for instance, death, divorce, disease, and debt. The loss of a job, the loss of friends for whatever reason, the loss of beloved pets, the ending of a relationship, the loss of our youth. These changes are changes we don't want. We don't seek these changes. We don't seek old age. We don't seek marital strife, separation, and divorce. We certainly don't want to lose those we love, much less watch them lose their physical and mental capabilities. Even people who look forward to retirement often find that they're unprepared for this life transition. These are the rough waters of life's transitions. How do we navigate these waters? Well, to continue the nautical metaphor, if you were a sailor, you would expect rough waters. Hopefully, you would be skilled enough to sail through them, trusting that you'll eventually find calmer waters. Nobody wants to think about the inevitability of things happening that we don't want to happen. And I don't think we really need to spend a whole lot of time thinking about those things. What we can do, though, is quietly come to a full and complete acceptance that things will change. All things must pass. All things must change. Life itself is a transitory process. We just need to see it as an essential fact of life. And this can be hard sometimes. Learning to let go of how it used to be is so hard sometimes. It really is a process, just as grieving is a process. If we work on being resilient, though, there may be an opportunity for growth. What else can we do but believe that we're capable of rolling with the changes? I personally like things to stay the same. I don't like change. I drag my feet through change. I get annoyed. I get angry. I get indignant, like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to deal with this? When my wife and I were looking for our first house, the one I'm living in now, I had to be dragged screaming and kicking through the process. I was pretty much acting like a little baby. It was hard, it was difficult, it was complicated, and I came to the point where I had to acknowledge my feelings. I had to acknowledge that I was afraid. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I wasn't sure I could manage a mortgage. And eventually I had to get on board, and we ended up buying a very nice house. So hopefully we can come to acceptance. We realize we must allow, and if possible, embrace change. And I think we can practice being better with change. That's the opportunity. And that, my friends, is how we cultivate wisdom. It's never too late to become wise, to see what is, not how you think it should be, not how you would like it to be. Seek to be free from your own ego when you can, and you'll get better at it. But man, it ain't easy. I always say that we think we live life, but a lot of the time, maybe most of the time, life lives us. And during those difficult life transitions, when it seems that life is having its way with us, we really need to take care of ourselves in every way. Eating, sleeping, taking time to ourselves, asking for help if necessary, talking to someone. Building a strong support system can be very helpful. Being flexible, adaptable, and patient with yourself. Give yourself time to adjust to the new reality. And it's very important to avoid unhealthy coping mechanisms like drinking, etc. Instead, write, journal, document your journey, share it with someone, join a group. So, when you're faced with the rough waters of change, step back, be present, see the patterns of life, get grounded in the reality of being human. To be able to witness the change of the seasons, the growth of your kids, and your own growth is indeed a privilege. I would also suggest that it's a privilege to be fully in the flow of life and to be able to say goodbye to those things that have brought you joy, comfort, and opportunity. And even though it's difficult, it can be a privilege to say goodbye to those we have loved and cherished. My favorite quote is by John A. Shedd, who said, "A ship in a harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for." Trust that we are built for these life transitions. It's in our DNA. Throughout history, we humans have developed traditions, rituals, and beliefs to navigate these changes. We are designed to travel this journey and to be able to courageously greet the rough waters of change and know that we have what it takes to get to the place once again where the water is calm, where we can rest and have peace, at least for a while. Thanks so much for listening. Remember that you can read this at tedmoreno.com/blog or watch it at youtube.com/at Ted A. Moreno. And if you're having trouble navigating the winds of change, you can go to tedmoreno.com/contact and request a complimentary consultation. I'll get back to you within 48 hours We can talk about whether hypnotherapy would be helpful for you, and if you're ready, we can schedule your first session. Thanks so much for listening, and please take good care of yourself. Bye.